It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Box Nation TV. It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Box Nation TV. And we're coming to you live from CB Gitty. It's the Gitty Gang Show.
Gitty Gang Show.
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 It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Box Nation TV.
Welcome back to the Gitty Gang Show. My name is Glenn Watt, and I'm with my good man, Nick Lanciano.
Hey guys, what's up?
The man that makes this entire thing run. It's awesome to see you again. Welcome back again to the Gitty Gang Show. This is Friday, May 10th, 2019, and I want to start it off with something Back Porch Banjos Jim Morris has already said out there, and that is happy retirement, Marty Tauber, the man that winds the Wicked Buckers, who has made CBGs, another stalwart and true Cigar Box Nation member. Martin Taubert. Taubert is, did I say that right? Tauber. Tauber. Why am I adding on other
I know
words?
he's out there with a nice, fine cigar and a dram of whiskey. So
Yeah.
hey, congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, buddy, indeed. So, welcome
Hard-working
back.
man right there.
Yes, indeed. Yes. We have for you today and today only. We got videos, awesomely enough, from Jim Morris. 2! You don't get one, you get 2 videos from Jim Morris.
Double dose of Jim.
Oh, gotta love it.
Double down.
Hey, we also got a sweet Cigar Box Nation blog post from a good friend, Poorness Studios, who visited a guitar symposium, if you will, down in Dallas, Texas. We also have workshop tips in a video from Louie LaManna. I'm pronouncing your name right for the first time because I've heard you pronounce it now, Louie LaManna. I always say LaManna. We also have a video with Jason Tyler Findley, the killer guitarist, ripping it up on one of Rob Wrobel's Cigar Box guitars. We also have Magic Daddy down in North Carolina, the Chapel of Groove. Got Matthew Simpson, Magic Daddy, with a short story from him and some beautiful pictures of his Lyre's Lyre that we're going to share with you a little bit later. We also have Michael Copado's handmade pickup winder that he's all did up himself, and shares a video with that of it with us, and now we share it with you. And we also have, what else? Eric Denton's tennis racket guitar. Got good man Eric Denton down in Georgia, and I'm making you wait for Janis Hughes video at the very end. She's got a sweet 4-stringer with a pickup she wound herself, and she's got some Gitty parts on that she loves sharing. She's got some tips for beginners players, and she also has a terrific, with a beautiful voice, a terrific song that she's going to perform on that 4-string with us. For us.
Is that the first video we've had for J-Dub?
I don't know if it's been the first video of J-Dub. Maybe. It's been a while.
Yeah, if it has been, it's been a while. I don't remember. I mean, we usually get one from, like, we run Copado,
Yes.
LaManna. I just listen to you say that.
I say LaManna, and I just found out today it might be LaManna, because that's what I thought I heard you say, Louie, so I think I'm on spot on there. And so what else we got? We got Jim Burt's out there, Roll Tide. Will be 69. Tomorrow?
What?
Is that what I'm hearing? Jim Burt, happy birthday, sir.
Wow, Jim, yeah. Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah. Got Rod Scramstead out there. The video, I gotta admit, the comments on this little device I got down here are tough to read, so I'm gonna do my best with them. And do we also have a little?
Can you do a portrait to get more?
I got it in landscape, but it's doing some funny Facebook thing. I don't know.
No.
Do we also have people out there in YouTube land?
Yeah, Rick Stevens.
Hey.
Out there, and Sandrine, who I believe is from France.
Nice.
I know they'll correct me, but good to see you guys out there on YouTube. I'm sure we'll have a couple more petering in as we get going.
Yeah, buddy. What else we got? Now we got. Oh, hey. Speaking of stuff happening, have you Nick's part of? I'm part of. Ben Baker started a new Facebook group, a CBGD Crafter Supply
Yeah.
Facebook group.
Yeah.
Not bad stuff.
No, there's a lot of good stuff posted, a lot of good discussions
Yes.
over there. A lot of people helping each other out, which was the mission of
Yep.
that page, I believe.
Thank you. So that's kind of where I wanted to steer towards, is what is our mission with that? What is your interpretation of our mission? I think you nailed it right there. But
Yeah. It's kind of like a help group, and a support group for building, tips, tricks, discussion on various methods, or if you wanted to talk about pickups there, post, hey, what are you using for pickups? So it's kind of an extension of a session we used to do on the Gitty Gang. Yeah, well, not the Gitty Gang, but even before then, we used to take customer questions and or viewer questions and answer them. I didn't manage them all that well, but but if every time from now, time to time, we might grab questions or discussions from there and expand upon them on the Gitty Gangs. But I see you guys have all been supportive on that channel, so it's real cool to see that.
We've had a couple of lively discussions already, and it's first Virgin Voyage, the week thereof. It's things are kind of settling down, and people are being real nice and positive out there. And we sent that out in a newsletter that the CB Gitty Crafter Supply has a group that you can join now, so it is public knowledge. And you are, of course, welcome to join. If you haven't been invited already, please consider going and checking it out. Now, I know the first thing that comes to mind is I'm already part of 1,000 groups, Glenn. How many more groups can I be a part of? I hear you. I really do. This place it's not a place for us to be pushing our wares. It's a place for us to help one another out. It's a place to share ideas, and like Nick's already said, to share tricks and tips and all that, but really to support one another and to enjoy each other's company. As long as it lasts in that little group, and I hope that you find your way over there to enjoy it and join. So
there's some exciting news over on Cigar Box Nation, where we're nearing 20,000 members on Cigar Box Nation. Shane's like, direct everyone over there, because we've got almost 20,000 members on the Cigar Box Nation page. That's on the actual site.
.com, the oldest, the largest community of cigar box guitar and handmade musical instrument enthusiasts of all time, anywhere you can find, and a really cool community. I know that it got splintered a little bit with all this social media stuff happening over the past few years, but it's a great place to be. I still go there and I find lively forums, blog posts, awesome videos shared. There's a couple of stalwart and true members there that really stand out. There are true pillars to the community that are always posting daily. It's just really good, and you'll find all sorts of historical plans and ideas that are shared by Shane Spiel. He's the man the king, as it were, that started this whole thing 30 years ago, and he's the one that started that as a Yahoo group and turned it into cigarboxnation.com. So over the years, that man has single-handedly built and floated and fostered this entire community. So, without getting too get my nose too brown, I got to tip my hat to that guy. He's done some really good work. So, enough talking. Listen to me sounding like Ben. Enough talking. Although I would like to say this: if you are, by the way, watching on YouTube especially, you will find usually now the Monday after these live videos post on YouTube, because that's where they also are. They're hosted on YouTube. They're hosted on Facebook. You can see it on the front page of cigarboxnation.com. But the YouTube video that is shared on Cigar Box Nation's page on YouTube, be redundant, we are now on Mondays going back on the previous Friday's video and time stamping it so that you can go and find where in the video that you want to go. So if you don't have the time to watch all 1 hour, all 60 minutes of it, you can go back to that previous Friday's post and go through and click on that timestamp that you want to see. You want to see Janis Hughes video. You want to see Rusty Taylor's discussion. You want to see Eric Denton's video. Like, you can go there and just nail it right there, and it makes things a little bit easier for you, and hopefully you find it a bit more enjoyable to kind of click through and see the things that you want to see.
Yeah.
Nice. So now what do we got here? First up, after all this, actually, speaking of Cigar Box Nation, this is there's a blog post that we want to share with you from Cigar Box Nation by a relatively new member whose name is Poorness Studios, who's come on like fire, and he's contributing quite a bit, and he does so in a style that I think it just makes it easily consumable. I like what he writes, I like what he shares, and this is actually some of the first stuff he was down, as Poorness Studio writes. He's actually the guy that went and visited, I don't know if you're on Cigar Box Nation, he went and visited Johnny Lobo's Xanadu, what is that, Tennessee? I'm sorry, I can't remember the state. Xanadu Bookstore and Music Emporium, I can't remember the real title, but it's Xanadu. He went and wrote about that. Poorness Studios went up to Alexandria, Maine, or New Alexandria, Pennsylvania, and visited Shane Spiel's Cigar Box Guitar Museum. So he's traveling all over, seeing these really cool things and writing about them and posting them, not asking for any fanfare. He's just quietly posting them on Cigar Box Nation, and I love that about him. This, however, this particular blog post is about this past weekend, he writes, was the annual Dallas International Guitar Festival. The 3-day event is the largest guitar show in the United States. It attracts attendees from all over the U.S. and as well as other countries spanning many genres. I love that. In addition to dozens of booths selling guitars and gear, there are live performances on 3 different stages throughout the event. It's somewhat of a paradise for guitar players. Since I live in Dallas, he writes, I try to visit the festival, as it were, every year. At previous shows, I'd seen vendors selling cigar box guitars at previous shows. Despite the fact that I just took up the hobby in the last year, I always liked looking at the CBGs and respected the art form. This year, just the other day, it was last weekend, I walked in expecting to meet a few CBG makers and talk a little shop. Alas, there was not a single one in attendance. And I know how difficult it can be for cigar box guitar makers to go to these large guitar I don't know if they're symposiums, exhibition showcases, because you get a lot of luthiers who are critical. And it can be kind of tough to walk in as a cigar box guitar maker, and no matter how good your stuff is, it's always going to be looked down upon by conventional makers. So I know it's how difficult it can be to get into places like that. But Poorness Studios goes on to write, and this, do we have that first picture, Nick? He writes about this first picture. Despite the fact that there were no CBG vendors, I did manage to find a 2-string cigar box bass. It was a commemorative item. It's not this one yet, but this is the picture. It was a commemorative item on display at the Lone Star Blues Festival booth. I ended up talking to those guys for a while, then sauntered down the aisle to find a 3-string solid body instrument that you see here that was basically an electric CBG. It was made from several parts I recognized, CB Gitty Crafter Supply, and the workmanship was fantastic. Now, in the next picture, we got Poorness going on to write, I didn't find any other CBGs per se, but I certainly found some folks who would fit in with this community. For instance, there was a builder who took 2 ukuleles, oh, I'm sorry, that was the bass, I apologize. Two ukuleles and made them into a one-of-a-kind double-necked instrument. There it is.
Oh, wow.
I know! It reminds me of almost like a little horror-type character. I love it. So you kind of
the movie Total Recall?
Yeah.
Yeah, where the guy has the little tumor on the side of him.
Yes! That's what I'm thinking about. yes.
Not saying that's horrible.
No. This is awesome.
Cool, but that's what it reminds me of.
So it's like taking one ukulele, insetting it in another. I just think that's rad. He goes on to write, for instance, there was this builder who did this. I am not sure how he did it, but he managed to make them fit together perfectly. Perhaps the most fun thing I found was a lap steel built into a briefcase. It was very unique, and I think that's the next image. Now, don't get me wrong, Poorness writes, I like to look at rare Les Pauls, pre-war jazz boxes, cowboy acoustics, and vintage Telecasters as much as the next guy. I love guitars of all shapes and sizes, and I really look forward to the festival every year. However, since I took up this hobby, I've found myself ignoring my traditional guitars more and more to focus on cigar box guitars. I guess there's something magical about an instrument made in the garage from mismatched parts. It speaks to me in more ways than one. And that's what I love about the spirit of the cigar box guitars and y'all who are out there building your own things. That's some cool stuff. So thank you very much, Poorness Studios. I contacted him, asked if it's public stuff, but I asked if he'd let me share it, and he gave me the permission. So good stuff.
That's great stuff. Like that uke was amazing.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. Seriously.
Right. Yeah.
You see a lot of things working here and hanging out with you folk, but
I've seen a lot of instruments, and I love this community because I'm consistently surprised by the creativity out there and the awesome instruments that we see coming through.
Absolutely. Now, what do we got? We got a video for you actually next. It's from Louie LaManna. Hopefully you're out there, Louie. What else? See, I can't read the comments that well, but it's good to see all of you. I can see Back Porch Banjos and Matthew Simpson, Janis, Shaq Collins out there in Jacksonville. But Nick does have next for you a video from Louie LaManna. Stick around because he's got some awesome tips live right from his own, or recorded live from his own. Recorded live? Recorded in his own.
Live. At one point, it was recorded live, but we're playing it recorded.
Awesome. Thank you.
Check it out, guys.
Hello, Gitty Gang. Louie LaManna here, my homemade instrument building shop workshop. Real quick video. I got a bunch of little tips I want to share with you guys. Ben said I haven't given you guys a video for a while, so here goes. I want to talk about the free tools I got from CB Gitty. That's right, free tools. When you order one of Gitty's box kits, They custom print the box or any of the boxes you have to assemble. Ben includes in there these corner pieces with the rubber bands, so you put them on the corners when you glue up your box, and it keeps it square. Well, after you're done gluing up your box, you have these left over. These are the most useful things I've come across. Talk about free tools. They're little squares. They're perfectly square. This is a Starrett combination square, and these things are perfect. They're laser cut perfectly square. So you need to make sure your table's straight on your bandsaw. You put it on there with the blade going up. You can tell if it's square. On your table saw, if you have teeth that go this way and that way, you can raise it up above the teeth and just go on the blade and your fence, and or your table, make sure it's square. Little squares in building, I'll use them, mark out the center line on my box, and I can put it this way and score the line or draw the line. Free little squares are super handy. What I also use them for, sometimes on a box I will use these little finish washers with a screw to seal my corners. And I always agonized over measuring where to drill those holes, because if they're off-centered or they're crooked, when your Gitty's done, it's gonna look ridiculous. So you use this. I have in this box, if I can open it, I just put some square blocks in there for the corners. And I took this and I drilled a hole in it right in the middle. You measure, so it's right there. Now I don't even have to measure. I can come right here with it, take my drill bit, drill a hole, put my screw in. Screwdriver. I can do that on all four corners, and they will be exactly where the same place. So it'll be perfect. Easy as pie. Free tools. Okay, another free tool is one you can make yourself, and it's one of these. Does everyone have one of these? Piece of flat scrap wood with a piece glued across the bottom so that it will sit on your bench. And I have two, these are like 1/8 inch strips, and if you can see, it's a V. The gap is wider here and there, and I just super glued those on. And what you do for that is for working on nuts. You can take your nut, if you use bone nuts, slide it in there, and it will hold it as firm as can be. And then you can take your nut files and work on your nut. You can shape your nut. Anything you want to do, it works for any size nut. Even this is actually a saddle. That'll go in there and it'll hold it. So you want to cut slots in a long skinny saddle. Say you're not using a bone nut. Say you're using a piece of wood just as a string guide because you're using a 0 fret. Well, you can take this piece of wood and put it in there. Mark out if this is your nut. That you don't have a nut. You can mark out where you want your strings and cut your slots in it, and then just glue it on the end of your neck, and you'll have your string guides. Pretty simple. Handy as all get out though. If you're, another one, carpenter's pencil. On the belt sander, I flattened it. So what you do with that, once you have your frets in and you're going to do your nut, you lay that on your frets, put your nut material here, and you just draw a line across there, and then where that line is, that'll tell you where the bottom of your nut slots should be, so that they will be even with your frets. And then you can cut your nut slots. You have a guide to go down and ease up on that line until you get it just right, because you want this first fret. If your open string is a G, you want that first fret to be a G sharp and not sharp for a G sharp, which it is if your nut slot's not deep enough. And if it's too deep, it'll buzz. But if you're using a string guide and you have a 0 fret, which this neck doesn't, you draw your line and you know your slots have to go deeper than that line so that it goes off and it will guide your string without lifting your string. Another little tip, and this comes from G.S. Monroe. I don't know if you guys have seen his thing, and it's just a little piece of wood. I mean, it's a piece of scrap wood, right? What I use this for is if you make your own bridges, this will determine how tall your bridge has to be. You put a string on and you simply slide this under the string until it gets to the point where you can pluck it and you know how high your bridge has to be. This is graduated, then you just take a pencil and draw a line on there, and then you can take your ruler and measure to that line, and that's a 1/2 inch there, so that means I have to have a 1/2 inch tall bridge. Whatever it is, it's just a quick, easy way to determine. Takes a lot of the guesswork out. So that's about all we got for this quick video. I just wanted to say hi and hope everybody's getting some nice weather finally. And we'll get back to the Gitty Gang show. That's what I want to do. All right, thanks everyone. Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Wow. Feedback.
Unreal. I tell you, Jim Morris and Josh, that is unreal.
We've got some legends on this show today. That was amazing.
It was. And, you know, part of what I love about bluegrass music so much is, aside from the upbeat and whatnot, just the vocals and the harmonies. And Jim and his friend Josh just sound so good together. So good. And Louie LaManna, with that video, I'm watching the comments, the little that I can see going through here. I'm in agreement with everyone else. That was
well-deserved love out there.
I know! I've learned more. I learned more in 5 minutes than I have working 8 years here, or whatever it's been. How many? 7 years here. Ridiculous. That was awesome. So I really just feel really good about having you folks, contribute your video, share your videos with us, so that we can share them with everyone else. Because it's truly a privilege and an honor to see this commitment to inclusivity and to helping one another and to entertaining and inspiring each other. So awesome stuff. So if you're just joining us, Nick and I are running the Gitty Gang show today. Shane's out doing his thing. Ben's out doing his thing with family. We've already covered a little bit about the new Facebook group. There's a CB Gitty Crafter Supply Facebook group. Covered that. We covered a little bit about on the Cigar Box Nation YouTube channel how we are time stamping all of these Gitty Gang show videos. It takes a few days, but so that when you go back through, if you're just catching it over on YouTube, you can click on the timestamps and get into the video where you want to get. What else did we cover? We got Louie LaManna's building tips. Jim Morris and Josh playing. What else did we? Oh, and Poorness Studios, a wonderful blog post over on Cigar Box Nation, written by Poorness Studios about the Dallas International Guitar Festival. So if you're just joining us, that's what you missed, but you can always find it on Cigar Box Nation's YouTube channel in the time-stamping type situation. So there's that. And now we will have a video from Rob Wrobel's one of his guitars being played by Jason Tyler Findley, but since I have already screwed up the order, totally messing up the spreadsheet by which Nick's trying to work.
It's live TV, man.
Yeah, it's Glenn's. But so first, however, we just want to say part of the reason I'm holding this is that this guitar was built from a kit a couple years ago called the Chicago 3-string electric cigar box guitar kit, available here at CB Gitty Crafter Supply today only. I think today only, 15% off. So you get a terrific. Nick puts these together. You get a premium hard maple neck with a mahogany fretboard. It's already fretted. It's a 3-string electric kit, so you get 3 seal gear tuners, a hardtail bridge, a couple of chrome dome knobs, got the recessed jacks, and the ever important snake oil humbucker pickup with a pre-wired with volume and tone. All you got is complete instructions. All you got to do is put it together just with a little bit of time and patience. It's just not a bad sounding guitar, if I do say so myself. So go on over to CB Gitty Crafter Supply and check that out. And although we haven't listed it on the website yet, Ben also has the Celtic Love Songs book that he's just written and published up on Amazon.com. So you're welcome to go over there and check that out. Hopefully we'll get that on our website soon, but you can find the Celtic Love Songs songbook written and published by Ben Gitty Baker over on Amazon.com. The Celtic Love Songs songbook for a 3-string cigar box guitar, if you want.
Yeah.
So, what do we got here?
Songwriting, song tabbing fiend.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Now, if we can next, before we head over into, we'll have coming up Rob Wrobel's cigar box guitar being played by Jason Tyler Findley, and after that we'll have Michael Copado's video on his homemade pickup winder. But first, I want to share from you from, I call it Master Creator, down in North Carolina in the Chapel of Groove. Matthew Simpson, Magic Daddy, has built. Do I have that lined up, or have I jumped far around?
No, you're good.
All right.
You're good, I got it. Matthew
Simpson has built a Lyre's Lyre that I'm going to share with you now, but more importantly for me is what he wrote along with it, because I just love storytelling, and this guy has done a great job of it. So, here we have Matthew Magic Daddy Simpson's Lyre, and it goes like this. The creation of the lyre. I was able to trace, these are Matthew's words, a little bit of storytelling here, so stick with me. I was able to trace back to ancient Greek mythology, and credit was given to a young god named Hermes. He had stolen a herd of sacred cows from the god Apollo. After many deceitful tricks, including making shoes for the cattle so that made them appear that they were walking in the opposite direction, Hermes decided to stop and rest for a while. While resting, he had taken a ram's skull, a tortoiseshell, and some sort of gut strings and fashioned the first lyre. That's what you see here. And I'm sorry, you are welcome to do whatever you want, in succession with the images, because I didn't, I don't have them set up in little bullet points, so as you see fit. Apollo, hearing the most beautiful music he'd ever heard on this lyre, squashed his anger at Hermes and went in the search of the music, where he found Hermes and the stolen cattle. Apollo offered to trade Hermes the lyre for the cattle, and Hermes accepted this deal, and both went on their merry way. Traditionally, based on my research, writes Matthew, A lyre is strung with 5 to 7 strings, with the heaviest or lowest strings away from the player, similar to a steel guitar, and tuned to an alpha tuning. For example, the lowest string to G, then A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, Matthew goes on to write, I had always planned on making this a cigar box instrument, but my first inclination was to do artwork that would make it look like the traditional lyre Hermes had made. Then I thought to myself, how could I make this more relevant to what we members of Cigar Box Nation do and the mythology that we scribe to? Yes, just as the Greeks have their mythos, so do we blues folks, especially the myths and legends of Robert Johnson and the Devil at the Crossroads. So I created in my head a story, and that's the inspiration for this instrument and how I built and designed it. So now as Nick scrolls through the images that you're seeing here of Matthew Simpson's Magic Daddy's Lyre, Lyre, I'm going to go into the story that he's written. Now we all know the story of Lucifer, Satan, the devil, and how he fell from grace from heaven, and on his way, on his descent, his heart burned black, as did his lyre, his musical instrument. Now Matthew goes on to write, we all know the story of that fateful meeting at the crossroads. He's talking about Robert Johnson and Lucifer himself, where a gangly young man with absurdly long fingers desired to be the greatest guitarist in the world and trade his soul to the devil to make that happen. Well, here's the rest of the story. Lucifer, Satan, the great deceiver, the devil, whatever you want to call him, he knew Robert Johnson was on his way, looking for answers to getting what he desired. So he went and planted himself down by a big oak at the crossroads and waited for Robert. He pulled out his lyre and started playing a tune that beckoned to Robert's ear, even though he was still 5 miles away, walking in the Mississippi sun. What Lucifer nor Johnson knew was that another young man, only 14 years old but a drunkard, was following Robert at a distance. His name was Shot Glass Slim, and he had been contracted to murder Robert Johnson. So finally Robert makes it to the forks in the road, and the devil places his instrument at the tree's base and stands to greet him. And they make their transaction. Slim, Shot Glass Slim, sees the whole thing and is struck with fear. Both Johnson and Lucifer have gone on their way, and as Slim turned to go, a glint at the base of the tree caught his eye. The devil, being pleased with himself for making a contract for Johnson's soul, had forgotten his harp. Guess who found it? That's right, Shot Glass Slim. This lyre was tuned to the same tuning that Robert Johnson's guitar was tuned to, and Slim grabbed up that lyre and off to town he ran, and straight home he went. Never able to play an instrument before, he was suddenly, almost magically playing some of the most entrancing music people had never heard. After several rendezvous with married women and the sort, Slim was murdered at the age of 16. Since then, the same path of death and calamity have followed that lyre, passed through juke joints and blues halls over the Delta and the South. It's been repaired, rebuilt, had electronics added, and still plays the very same entrancing music, only louder, just to pique the attention of the next soul for the devil to devour. We've all heard that the blues is the devil's music. What if, in fact, they were acquainted, or they are acquainted in that way? Because he keeps searching the blues halls and juke joints and dive bars in search of his harp, his instrument, the lyre's lyre. Great story, Magic Daddy. I loved it. And that instrument, good sir, is some fine.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I love, much like what Ben did with the hobo fiddle. You're creating a mythology behind the instrument.
Yes.
And hearing the storytelling behind, the story how the instrument going through the ages, because music was originally a way to tell stories and a way to connect and a way to free some of that creative energy. So I love seeing more of the fiction and the mythology grow up around these guitars, because there's certainly a lot of it there.
I agree with you.
So well done. That's great.
It is great, and I agree with him. I agree with Nick entirely. Your ability to take something and make it your own. There's something special about that, and I call that art. And so I think you are a master creator, Magic Daddy, and that is some great stuff. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. Yeah, awesome stuff. So what do we got up next? It looks like, since I've jumbled things around, Nick has kindly and patiently put up next Jason Tyler Findley, a terrific guitarist down in Florida, ripping it up on one of Rob Wrobel's cigar box guitars. You know Rob because he makes amazing stuff and he's out there on Facebook, so you've seen him. I know you have. And here's Jason Tyler Findley, if you haven't seen him, ripping it up again on one of Rob's guitars. And next after that, immediately after, is Michael Copado's homemade pickup winding video. So thanks for sticking around. Still no sound out.
Technically,
there it is.
The technical difficulties are very fun.
Oh.
What I'm trying to do is play this next video, but it's, there we go.
There it is.
So here it is. I call it my ugly junk pickup winder, and it cost about, I want to say, under 70. The components, and there's only 5 or 6, are really surprisingly cheap. I think the total of all those parts were 50 bucks, plus another, 10, 15 for extra hardware and things. So I'm going to go over the features, and I'll go over each of the parts in more detail in a minute. It has a 5-position LED counter that's hooked up to this sensor, and on the bobbin holder is a magnet, so as it swings past the sensor, it triggers the counter. The motor is a up to 1,000 RPM eccentric drive motor, and it can be speed controlled from nothing up to the full 1,000 RPMs. I believe that's the most important or most expensive part, and that was, I think, 16. It's got a 2-way switch to go clockwise and counterclockwise. If you're doing a humbucker where you cross over and go back down, this will be effective. And this is the knob for the speed controller. And the speed controller is a little circuit board, and I believe that was $8. And you basically wire power to it and the motor. It's screw terminals, so you don't have to solder. I think I only soldered the wires to the motor and the wires to the automotive fuse holder. There's a fuse in the power line, a 2-amp fuse, just to protect it. The other feature is this guide arm, which is adjustable here, so depending on where you're sitting, you can adjust it, and then you move these collars to the thickness of your pickup. The other feature I added to my design, besides mounting the LED display on top at an angle, is that it is removable, and there's just enough cords that you could set it down on the table next to you. So depending on how you're sitting or whatever, you can make sure you can see it. That's just an option I put on because I'm extremely tall. So let me fire it up. I want to make sure the counter is zeroed out. We're going to start clockwise. I'm going to fire it up. I'm taking it all the way up to 1,000 RPMs, and there's very little wobble or vibration. Just slow it down. And I'm going to take it to about there so you can see that the counter is indeed moving. I'm going to zero the counter out. You can see it. And the counter does follow, so no matter how fast you go, it is still, it's not slipping or missing. Put it back. I'm going to stop it. Switch directions. Take it all the way up. And take it back down. And it's powered by a simple 12-volt wall wart, that you all have lying around the house, I'm sure. And I'll go into more detail on the components in the next segment. Okay, we'll go over the parts real quick for the pickup winder. It's really not a lot of components, and it's not very expensive. I think the most expensive part was the motor, and that was $15. I'll go over everything. So yeah, we'll start out with the motor, which I already have mounted in the box. So I can't give you too big a look. It's just basically a cylinder. And this is made by Guitarist. It's a 12-volt, 1,000 RPM, high-torque, electric motor, micro-speed reduction geared eccentric motor. So basically you can lower the RPMs as needed. And that was $15.49, and it's sold by Guitarist on Amazon. Now, speed control, and this was amazing because this was all of $7 on Amazon. I'll zoom in real close. This is the Unique Goods DC Micro Speed Controller PWM adjustable driver switch. This was $7. It can run from 1.8 volts up to 30 watts. So we're running 12 volts on it. Basically, you have your circuit board and you have your terminals for your power in, and then what runs to the actual motor. And then it just has a rheostat on a simple circuit board, and you don't even have to solder. It's all right there. $7. Who can beat it? Your ubiquitous 12-volt power supply. You just snip that off and go in. Probably everyone has one at home. I actually bought this because I didn't think I had any to spare. And this was $6.99. This is the Homry LCD digital tally counter with panel gauge. It's battery powered. Basically, this is a sensor which will pop in here, so it's right next to where the motor is. And this is your counter box, which is wired in. It'll be up there. It's a 5-digit digital counter, and basically it comes with a magnet on this rack, which you can remove. And you would basically glue the magnet onto your bobbin, and as it spins, it will trigger the counter, and you'll get your RPMs. And it can handle the high speed of the 100 RPMs with no problem. The next component is the Winmo heavy duty DP-DT toggle switch. It comes with a waterproof cap, but that's not important. And the reason you want a DP-DT switch is so that you can wire it up to go clockwise, and then with the flip of the switch counterclockwise, and then off is in the middle. And I'll show you this when I have it wired up. But basically, you wire up one side as normal, which it would be that side to face, I believe. And then you do jumper wires from hot to ground on the other side of the throw. And that way, when you flip the switch, it will reverse it, the polarity, and reverse for you. And the final thing is just a basic inline fuse holder. And this is not the right fuse, and a 2 or a 3 amp fuse. I bought a bunch of 2 amps, so I'm going to throw in. And basically, when you wire it up, this would go between the plug and the circuit board. So you come in on the hotline, wiring it up, and that way you're just protecting the speed controller. And that's really it. That's everything of the main components.
And we'll turn that down so we don't need that.
Nice.
You can get the parts list from Michael. Jeez.
Michael Copado, you got it. It's all good. So
Can you tell us Friday?
So welcome back. Thank you very much, Michael, because that is a rad DIY way of doing things, and I love that about Michael and his ability to I don't know if you've seen his radio resonator guitars and whatnot, but that's just another fine example of his ability to just make cool stuff.
What you got going on this weekend, Glenn?
Man, I think this weekend's going to be yard work.
Yard work?
Yeah, I hate to say it like that. I love yard work. No, I really do, though. And the garden's a good place to be this time of year, and I don't know. I like spending time outside. We work all days indoors behind computers, which is great, or in the shop if we're fortunate. But it's nice to be outside. Yeah, what do you got lined up?
Got D&D on Sunday.
Yeah.
But taking my mom out to lunch tomorrow. That'll be Mother's Day this weekend or next week.
That's what I hear.
This weekend. Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. Hopefully you know that too. It's Mother's Day this weekend.
Yeah, if you didn't know, it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to any of you out there.
Yes.
Hopefully your kids do something nice for you. If not, you do something nice for yourself and relax.
Absolutely.
Glass of wine and nice food.
Whatever it is that you enjoy in your mommy cups, for sure. So if you're just joining us, you've missed some good videos. I'm not gonna lie, you can go back and watch them. Though we had some stuff from Jim Morris, an excellent performance of what was that one? I Fall on My Knees with him and his friend Josh. We also had a blog post from Poorness and Cigar Box Nation. Louie LaManna's awesome from his workshop tips and tricks that most of us are just astounded by, so that's really just great stuff. Had a short story from Magic Daddies about his Lyre's Lyre. We had Michael Copado's pickup winder video, which you just saw. Had an awesome Jason Tyler and Rob Wrobel video. And I just want to say that tomorrow is the May meeting of the CBG-minded Michiganders. It's a mouthful for this guy. I can't even say much clearly. That was tough enough. Tomorrow, and I think it's, what time is it? It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 5. 1 to 5 at Red Sky Stage in Petoskey, Michigan is the May meeting of CBG-minded Michiganders. And in the UK right now, I know that's not where the majority of our audience is right now, but in the UK, Samantha Fish is on tour, and tonight, she's in Glasgow. I think I said that right, Glasgow. Tomorrow she's in Birmingham. The next day she's in Bristol. The next day she's in Cambridge, and she's coming back over to the States. Samantha Fish is, and I know she's going to be down in our area, like Massachusetts and Pennsylvania here in the next couple of months. But she's on tour, so if you can catch her live, I hear she's great. I haven't seen her live, but I've only seen the video, so hopefully you have an opportunity, especially if you're in the UK and you're seeing this now. And then there's some other festivals coming up, but first we have, next one, kindly and patiently putting up with my shenanigans here, we have an awesome video from Eric Denton. a good man down in Georgia, and then we're following that up with a video from J-Dub, Janis Hughes, also a star and Georgia Peach down there, who does great things for this community. So we're gonna have Eric Denton, J-Dub, and then another video from Jim Morris, and then we're gonna wrap things up. So stick around, please.
Howdy folks, this is a quick video on how I like to make the tennis racket guitar. Alright, here's the supplies I like to use. Of course, the tennis racket, a wooden one, and some of these suckers. Scrap wood, I kind of use the fretboard size woods, you know. Some beer labels, if you will, a piece of scrap plywood, and of course, your strings, bolts, strap buttons, and tuners and whatnot there. Here we go. So what I like to do first is strip the neck of the handle, and then I take my fretboard wood and my neck and I kind of sandwich it together like that. I'm not sure what you'd call that, but it's sandwiched and glued together like that. And how I do it is take pieces of wood like this, lay it on there, you know, right where the sandwich part is after I cut out a notch, and then you just start sandwiching them together so you got your headstock nice and flush. Then you just take it, put it on the belt sander or whatever, and just start shaping it and sizing it up. Alright, for the pickups, I like to use these flat pups. They fit right in there right nicely. I take my plywood, cut it to the shape of the beer carton that I'll use, cut a little hole for it, then just glue the beer carton right on it. Take the tennis racket, put that sucker on there like that. You take these that I have made for the bridge deck, goes on there wherever you measure it to go. And then this is kind of my little design on the string retainer, so that sits on there, this sits on there, and it gives it a little better arc, you know. Here's a little example of that arc, if I'm saying that right. This ain't English class, just so you know. And then fasten it on there. This kind of came from that thin, you know, stuff that comes outside of the cigar boxes. Speaking of which, I usually use a cigar box lid to kind of cover my guts in the back for the most part. I ain't too worried about this, but you don't want your jack exposed. And now when you're all done, get your J-Dub and your tuner up. I don't know what I've got to tune to, somewhere between a D and a C. This one's a 3-stringer because it's about all you can fit on this little skinny neck. And you go. People always ask me, well, did you memorize that yardstick like that or something? And the answer is no. I just mark it down the side like I'm sure most of you do. You know, I pride myself on getting them pretty accurate. But the cool thing about slide, you just do a little vibrato. And you don't have to be just dead on it. Sometimes I will sit there and practice. Oh, daddy-o. Something like that. Thanks for watching.
Hey, you guys. It's Janis Hughes, aka J-Dub. We're here in the den of the dog house. I have 5 dogs, so it's quite possible there might end up being some shenanigans in the background here. I apologize if that happens. Coming to you today with a couple of quick tips and maybe a little bit of playing. So my first tip. This is my latest build here, number 34, and I went with an offset neck on here. You can see it's a lot closer to the top of the box. It's not in the middle. I did that for 2 reasons. And The first was really just the idea of having the strings up higher from the bottom of the box so that when it's sitting in your lap, it's more in a configuration of a conventional guitar where the strings are just up a little bit higher. But the best added benefit of this is that it sets up a different weight distribution. I should note, I also put extra pieces of wood inside my box and open spaces to add some weight to the box. But this particular guitar with this offset neck has a really fabulous balance. I can just sit this in my lap and I don't have to hold it up. It doesn't have that neck dive where the headstock wants to fall over. And if you're a player, a guitar player, you guys, if you're a player like me, having your neck diving down just creates a lot of extra work when you're playing because you have to hold the neck up while you're up here trying to hit your notes. And I find it pretty inconvenient with both slide and when I'm playing fretted. So having this just sit up in my lap is super awesome, and this is probably my most comfortable out of all my builds so far to play. So something that you might want to think about, even though I fully acknowledge it's kind of weird looking, okay? It's a bit strange, but it's very functional. Now my next thought here is, yes, this is a 4-string. I know 3 strings are very traditional, and I absolutely advocate that that's a wonderful place to start. It's a good place to keep your first build simple. And also, if you don't have experience playing a stringed instrument already, absolutely go for a 3-string, start with that, and work your way up. I do enjoy trying to play 6-string guitar, and I gotta say, for all of my builds, I prefer to go ahead and do 4 strings because the songs that I like to play, I just find it a lot more versatile to be able to have the choice of playing on that extra string. So the way that I usually tune it, I'll do open G, so G, D, G, but then with a high B. Or in this case, this is tuned like an open G, except my low G, I've tuned to an A. And that sets this up like the middle 4 strings of a 6-string guitar. So you can do all kinds of stuff. There's not one tuning that every cigar box guitar should be in. No rules, guys. Make it how it's easiest for you to play it. And so that you can play and make the music that you want to make and that you like to listen to, that you want to play. So I'm a pop girl. I like pop music. I'm not really a blues kind of kid. So I'm going to assail your ears for a moment and try to play a little something for you and stop talking in a minute. I'm not quite done. So maybe you've heard of a song called Wicked Game by Chris Isaaks. I just love that song. It's something that I've been working on for a while on 6-string guitar. It's my dog weighing in. She's like, yeah, I should have been playing that song a lot, you guys. It's really irritating. So I've been working on it. I don't have it totally down, but earlier this week, I decided to try to port it over to CBG, to the 4-string here. And it's harder to play, but the really cool thing is you can actually play that whole entire solo on your 4-string CBG. So if you'll bear with me, I will try to give it a shot. The really cool thing about the song, if you just wanted to play it even without trying to do that whole solo thing, it's only 3 chords. So that's pretty cool. Okay, if you'll bear with me, I am going to try to employ my looper. I already recorded those chords. I'm just going to engage the looper so that I can play with it for you. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm not a seasoned performer here, but all right, here we go. little punctuation by the dog at the end. All right, thank you so much, CB Gitty. I gotta say, I absolutely love working with you guys. Thank you so much for carrying my slides. Thank you for all of you that you do for the Cigar Box guitar community. Thank you for all of the building tips. Thank you for all of the support, all of the encouragement, all the inspiration. I just think you guys are so awesome. I am absolutely grateful to be a part of the parts that you guys carry. And thank you to everyone out there who's tried my slides and who's making music out there with them. Love you guys. Love to everybody. See you later. J-Dub out. Bye.
Wow. That was fantastic.
I know.
That was awesome.
It was awesome. It was. And everybody out there being so nice, kind, and supportive. I love it. So that's really happy about that.
Yeah.
That was a good showing. And aside from, I can't even say aside from the performance, but to start with, like all the building tips and the offset neck and just a little bit of advice, you know, it's encouraging advice. It's not schooling anybody. It's just kind advice, and it's just like her presentation of the music. It's just soft and kind and thoughtful and all good stuff.
And if you don't have a J-Dub slide yet, check them out on CB because they're amazing.
They are. I've got 2 or 3, at least 2. I can't remember what happened to the third. And they are amazing. So that about wraps it up. You've been really kind and patient with us too. I know that Nick's been dealing with me juggling stuff around. He's doing an awesome job as always. So please, if you don't mind, just giving Nick a how-do and a great job out there in the comments.
Give it up for our host today too, Mr. Glenn Watt.
But just so you know, we do have coming up soon. On the 1st of June. The 1st of June is the 5th annual Cigar Box Guitar Fest Northwest in Eugene, Oregon. Put on by our good friend, Downtown Vinny, Mark Alanis. And we also have the 15th annual Cigar Box Guitar Festival in Huntsville, Alabama, coming up on June 1st. And in June 8th is the first annual North Carolina Cigar Box Guitar Festival. I saw Magic Daddy out there asking who's going. Hopefully you are. I got to be honest with you, I got a little bit of vacation time lined up. I don't know how I'm going to make this work, but I hope to get down to see a couple festivals this year. Maine's first, the state of Maine, if you don't know what I'm talking about. For those of you outside of New England, we have a few states that make up New England. One of them is Maine. And up in Maine is Marty Tauber, and he's got Maine's first Cigar Box Guitar Festival on the 15th of June in Naples, Maine. Wow. And there's a couple... Yeah, I know. And there's a couple other festivals. There's one in St. Louis, Missouri. There's, of course, have the Pennsylvania Cigar Box Guitar Festival coming up at the end of August. And Rusty Taylor's Georgia Festival, I think it's September 27th and 28th. But at the end of September, we got the Georgia Cigar Box Guitar Festival as well. So again, thank you for sticking around. I know Nick's been patiently waiting to plug in this last video for you, because we're going to sign off with a little bit of a good, amazing man. That both Nick and I are just all about, Jim Morris. And in this video, he's with his friend again, Josh, and Jim is out there just singing like the Dickens and playing a canjo. I don't see anybody playing canjos like Jim Morris. This guy can tear it up.
You know, this is a fitting way to end. Hey guys, thank you very much for joining us today. And I hope you have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there.
Yeah, buddy.
Anything else you got, Glenn?
I think we're good.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, 2, 3, 4. I'm going up on the mountain, there I'll make my stand. Going up on the mountain, there I make my stand. Pistol in my pocket, my rifle in my hand. Lord, I've been all around this world. Oh, hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh, hang me, I'll be dead and gone. It's not the hanging that I mind, it's laying in the jail so long. Lord, I've been all around this world.
to my knees. Working for old John Henry, he's a hard man to please. Lord, I've been all around this world. So hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. It's not the hanging that I mind, it's laying in the jail so long. Lord, I've been all around this world. I'll have to knock it down with my old 44. Lord, I've been all around this world. So hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. It's not the hanging that I mind, it's laying in the jail so long. Lord, I've been all around this world. Take it, Josh. So long, Lord, I've been all around this world.